back to another video, and if you are new here, hello and welcome. My name is Choua and it's nice to see you all again. I know it's been what, 1 or 2 weeks since my last video update or upload, I should say. And that is because I'm kind of going through a lot right now. You know, work has been pretty busy, and also I've been fighting mouth sores for the past 2 weeks or so. Like, one sore will heal and then another one will come up, and it's just because, you know, the little things that they, you know, put on my teeth to help keep my Invisalign in. It's been kind of chafing against my soft tissue and the insides of my cheek, so it's been really painful to eat and talk freely. I am really excited to film this video, and also I can't put this on hold any longer because this weekend is the UCA high school National High School Cheerleading Championships, and we just call it nationals in the cheer world. And this year also marks 10 years since I've been a cheerleader. So wow, I cannot believe it's already been 10 years since I've been a cheerleader. And you know, although I may not be able to relive those moments, you know, physically, because I just do not have the body for that anymore, I can at least try to do my cheer makeup that I used to do back then, and just kind of sit down with you all and just talk about some things that I learned through cheerleading and some of the most memorable things that has happened to me with cheer. And yeah, let's just get right into it. I tried to find as many old products that I used to use back then, but there were a few things that I couldn't purchase because one, I either couldn't find them in Ulta or in Target, and two, some of the things I decided not to purchase because back then I was pretty broke, so obviously I bought a lot of drugstore things to kind of just get the job done, and they weren't the best quality, and so I didn't want to waste my money and waste makeup because I didn't want to purchase a product that I know I'm not going to use after today's video. So I tried to make some smart purchases and kind of just subbed in a few things that I have been loving, or sub in things that are similar to some of the products that I used to use. And this is the t-shirt that we wore to nationals, our first year going to nationals. This was our shirt, our state shirt I should say, and has all the names of all the high schools that were going to nationals in obviously Wisconsin, because that's where I'm from. Back then I didn't really have any significant, oh my gosh, I cannot talk. Excuse the way that I sound today. I have a little bit of swelling in my cheeks because of my mouth sores, so I'm sorry if my pronunciation or speech is a little off. But anyways, I used to go into the Nivea Refreshing Soft Moisturizing Cream. This is face, body, and hands. Looks like this. It is such a good moisturizer I used back then. I didn't use a whole lot of moisturizing primer back then. I just really slapped on a generous amount of moisturizer, and this was my go-to moisturizer back then because I needed something to kind of be like a multi-use, where I can use it on my hands, use it on my ashy knees or elbows, and then also on my face. So I use this as my moisturizer and primer. So I zoomed y'all in so that y'all can see me a little bit better. While the moisturizer kind of sets a little bit, I'm gonna go in with the actual primer that I use on competition days. I couldn't find the original poreless kind of e.l.f. primer that I used to use back then, so I chose the closest one to it, and this is the e.l.f. Velvet Finish Face Primer, and I basically only use this on my T-zone. This is definitely not the formula that I remember, but this is the closest thing I remember using. It's definitely a pore filling kind of primer from e.l.f. But I essentially just put it all over my T-zone. Can you see? Can you even see the primer like filling in my pores? I don't have ginormous pores, luckily, but I still use this because I don't know why. I think I just did it because I started to notice my pores back then. But anyways, y'all, like I was a cheerleader for 6 years, and I found cheerleading when I was in middle school, and that was because my mom wouldn't let me join a Hmong dance group. So I signed up to try out for the dance team or the POMS team, and of course I didn't make it because back then I was like, oh, the dance team, sure, yeah, like I guess they'll take anyone who can dance, right? But I was wrong. I didn't realize you had to be good at like lyrical, you know, hip-hop, all this stuff. So obviously I didn't make the cut, so I was like, you know what, whatever, I'll try out for the cheerleading team. And so I did, and I fell in love with the sport. I just want to put on the foundation really quick. I remember that I used to use the CoverGirl Ready Set Gorgeous foundation, but I can't find that anywhere anymore, so I'm guessing it's been discontinued. So I grabbed the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless, and I am going to use my Real Technique sponge. This is the sponge that I used to love. I mean, I still love it now. And I just put it on the sponge and I just tap, tap, tap. But yeah, y'all, like I was a cheerleader for 6 years. I tried out, I loved it, and I stayed in cheerleading until I graduated high school. And honestly, I learned so much while being on the team. I learned how to be a good athlete. I learned what a team is like, you know? And I found sisterhood and friendship, and I learned a lot about myself too. I felt my healthiest, honestly, being in cheer. My memories and experience in cheer, those are the things that I have continued to carry with me throughout my stages of life. And even nowadays, I still think about those days, because though my cheerleading days were the days that I felt like I grew them. Oh my gosh, I look so yellow in this lighting. I should okay, hold on. Sorry about that. As you can tell from the background, I did a little bit of redecorating. That's probably why I was looking white and yellow, because I forgot to change the setting of some of my curtain lights that I got for the studio. Put a little bit more on the spot. Oh my gosh. That is so much. Oh wow. I forgot how gorgeous this foundation is. I know cheerleading is definitely a sport that a lot of people can resonate with, and it's completely different from, you know, those Bring It On movies. And I'm so glad that cheerleading is being more globally and nationally recognized compared to back then. Because I know that back then cheerleading was not the most popular sport. We were not popular, I would say. I mean, to me, it didn't really matter if we were popular or not. It's just, for me, it was a sport that I could escape to. It taught me a lot about what passion is, dedication, motivation, you know, drive. It taught me how to not give up when things don't go your way. And it also taught me a lot about my body, especially being, you know, having a blood disorder and having a lot of chronic illness and limitations. It taught me a lot. I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser. Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely not my shade, but let's just make it work. Yeah, so definitely was not the best cheerleader out there, obviously, and I knew I was lacking in a lot of skills that a cheerleader should have, but I tried my best anyways. So anyways, what I did with my concealer back then was I just did, you know, the usual makeup or beauty influencer back then, where they just hit the T-zone and everything. So that's what I did back then, just to brighten up the zones a little bit. But yeah, I was not the best tumbler, flyer, or anything, jumps, anything like that, but I knew the areas that I could give my all, and that was mainly yelling, perfecting my motions and everything. So yeah, that was what I kind of did back then. Not the best athlete, but I stayed because I loved it, and I knew I wasn't the best, but I tried in areas that I knew that I can grow in. So that was all that mattered to me. So after my foundation and my concealer, what I liked to do was go in with like a powder, and honestly, I do not remember the powder I used back then, but I remember trying the e.l.f. HD powder back then, so I picked this up. Let's just dump it in here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so what I do is I took my blender and I would dab into this powder. Granted, back then I was still exploring makeup, so I just did whatever influencer I watched did, regardless if they were Asian or not, and I just did what they did. So I just went underneath the eyes with the powder, and I just basically baked. Yeah, I'm using the viewfinder to help me with this. And so when I let my under eyes bake, I go in with a powder brush and I would set my whole face with this. Use the cap, and then I would just set the whole face. The national cheerleading competition is happening this weekend, and a lot of us treat it as our Super Bowl, so I'm excited. I'm really excited to watch the competition this weekend and stay in, watch the teams. Honestly, Nationals is so good. For those who don't know, the UCA High School Nationals, it takes place in Orlando, Florida, and you would stay at like the Disney resorts, and it used to be what, a 3-day competition, but now they extend it to 4 days. I'm guessing it's because the divisions have gotten larger, and there's just so many more schools that are going to nationals and everything. I'm not too sure about all the logistics, just so don't quote me on everything, but yeah, so it would happen in Orlando. So I'm just gonna speak on my experience because it might be different from a lot of people now, but we would stay at one of the Disney World resorts hotels, and we would obviously see a lot of other teams too. So we would go like on a Wednesday or Thursday, depending on what the coach decides, and then we would check in and everything. We room with each other, so that was another way for us to team bond and kind of really expand and deepen our friendships and our relationships with other teammates. Wipe my bake really quick. I know this is not the best lighting. I'm still trying to figure it out, but this is what we got today, okay? This is the e.l.f. bronzer palette. I would usually go in with these two shades right here. Like they don't have names, so I would go with these two shades. And what I would do is I would just stamp right here. Stamp, stamp, stamp. Yeah, and then blend it in like so. Ooh, yes. If you're in the northern states, there's obviously gonna be snow and everything, so it was like a mini vacation for us, honestly. And it was the first time I've ever been to Florida. It was the first time I've ever been on a plane. There was a lot of firsts for me, so I thought it was really cool to have that opportunity. Just gonna bronze the face a little bit. that's what I did back then. I just bronzed the face like so. There was a field where you could practice, and there were other teams there that were also practicing and running through their routines and everything. It was just a lot of fun to see people from different states, different divisions, just practicing next to you. Well, that was really memorable. And then just be able to go into the Disney parks with your gals, that was also crazy, because honestly I fell in love with the Disney parks because of that. And just to see people who are in the same sport, who are there with the same passion, it was really cool to see. So I'm gonna go with a smaller brush, and I'm gonna go with a deeper shade, and I'm just going to kind of sculpt this a little bit more, because I know I did that. Okay, so I turned up the lighting a little bit. Hopefully you can see a little bit better. I'm sorry if the quality is terrible. Still trying to work out the lighting. Do you see how I bronzed myself back then? Like, what is going on here? Anyways, and then going in with blush, I also bought the e.l.f. powder blush palette. This is how it looks like. And I would go in with, honestly, all of these shades, but usually for game day, or not game day, competition day, I would go with these two right here and mix it together. I usually go in with this to deepen everything, and then this one to put on the cheeks a little bit to kind of blend. And I loved blush back then. I still love blush. So I went pretty heavy on the blush because I wanted my blush to stay all day. I did not want to reapply my blush. So I went pretty heavy on the blush. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, it was pretty fun. The first time we went, we didn't get past prelims. Honestly, I wasn't really expecting us to pass prelims because it was the first time ever in our high school cheer history to ever accomplish anything that big. So just making it to nationals was already a big accomplishment, but having a taste of what nationals is and the things that happen within that whole weekend, it is so sweet to experience, because you know, your excuse from school to go to Florida, and you get to hang out with some of your best friends, and you get to experience the Disney parks, which who doesn't love, and then you also get to compete on a stage that, you know, everyone knows the meaning of. You get to see all of these other schools, you get to make new friends, you get to see, you know, see so much in the course of a weekend. And you know, when we first went our first time, that was when we were like, oh my gosh, this is so great, like amazing. It was so memorable, and honestly it motivated us to do even better the next year. So even though we didn't pass prelims our first year, we went again the second year. So I went to nationals twice before I graduated high school, and the second time we placed 17th in our division. So we passed prelims, and then we were able to advance to semis, and obviously we didn't make it to finals, but that was such a big accomplishment. And every time we went, it felt like we were setting a new record for the cheer program, and we were making history. It also taught us me especially, to fight even more, because the last time I went, that was when I was a senior in high school. So it was the last hurrah for me. So I really wanted to make it to nationals. That was my blush, y'all. Okay. All right, enough with the blush, Choua, enough with the blush. With highlighter, I couldn't find the Wet n Wild highlighters that I used to use back then, but I still have my Becca Champagne Pop highlighter. I would go in so heavy with this highlighter. I know it's a very old highlighter, but I wanted to use something from back in the day. This is the oldest makeup product I have in my collection, and I don't think I could ever get rid of it, honestly. So what I did is I just swipe my highlighter like so. It needed to be beaming, and even though obviously Becca highlighters are super pigmented, I needed it to blind the judges, essentially. I wanted people to notice me when I was on the mat. So I put a lot of highlight, and you know what I also did? I put highlight on my forehead and I dragged it down my nose. Look at that. Look at me beaming. Yes. And then also the Cupid's bow. Okay, I'm gonna use my finger for my Cupid's bow because I remember like highlighting this crap out of my Cupid's bow. And then I also did my chin. I know, this might be a little excessive, but I also did my chin. Do you see how glowy that is? This is still pretty beautiful, honestly. So moving on to the eyes. First of all, I didn't do my brows back then. I simply brushed it up. I didn't think that I needed to fill my brows in back then. I thought my brows were pretty full. It does look kind of full a little bit today because I did have eyebrows on earlier. But I try to take it off as much as possible. So what I used to use is the e.l.f. Matte for Matte palette and another palette from them. I don't remember the name, but I couldn't find them at my Target and Ulta again. I am going in with a Pretty Vulgar Nightingale palette. It looks like this. It has a lot of the browns and neutrals that I used back then. I'm gonna go in with this one here, and I'm just gonna put that all over the lid. And when I mean all over the lid, I actually mean where my eyeball is. Like literally, I didn't know where my crease was because obviously I was watching a lot of people who actually had a crease, but I don't. So I use my eyeball as my crease, honestly. That's what I did. I used my eyeball as my crease. And I would just sit there, just blending my eyeshadow. It needed to be as perfect as it could be. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go in with, I don't have a brown, like a light brown, so I'm gonna go in with my bronzer actually. I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. So I'm just gonna go in and darken this and brown it a little bit more because it's looking a little too gray, and I do not remember my look being this gray back then. So then what I do next when I'm done kind of blending in the shade, I would go in with a dark brown, lots of dark browns actually. I'm gonna go in with this one first to kind of deepen the outer corner. I would look straight and I would stamp because I wanted to see the shadow when my eyes were slightly open. So that's how I looked like. You see? Yeah, I know, I was a little crazy back then. And then when I stamped it, I would blend this out a little bit, but not too much. I didn't want it to fade too much. So I only blended enough so it wouldn't be too harsh. And if you're like me, my eyes are kind of uneven. I don't know if you can tell, but I always struggled to get my eye makeup to look exactly the same because back then, you know, it all had to look even when I was opening my eyes, not when I'm closing my eyes or anything like that. So I felt like I always had one eye have like my makeup up a little higher than the other because my eyes are uneven. And that's when I learned that you gotta know your body a little bit so you don't look stupid. So when I have these shades on, I go in with another dark color, not black, but I go in with the darkest brown, closest to black, and I literally just stamp on the corner like so. Can you see that? I know it's not the best look, but hey, I'm older than some of y'all. So what I'm doing, that was the trend back then. That was all the hype back then. So, oh yes, this is bringing back memories. I'm gonna go in with Clutch, this one right here. This was the color closest to the brown that I would use back then. And I go in with my fingers and I just press this down. I didn't bring it up. I just pressed it enough so that when my eyes were open, you could see a little bit of the shimmer, like so. I did not bring this up. I just kept it the way it is, like that. I was very strict with the shimmers. I didn't want it to go up. I wanted to stay where the shade, the brown shade was. And then next, what I do is I go with a lighter shimmer. Let's go with Break Free right here. I think it's kind of like a highlighty shimmer. And I go and I put that right in the corner to brighten up the eyes a little bit. And then whenever there was shimmer, like, you know, near my nose, I kind of just blended that out a little bit. I did not do inner corners for competition. What I'd like to do next was I would go in with a black liner. This is the one by Pixie, Endless Silky Eye Pen. What I would do with this is I would tight line. You see the difference? Not tight lined, tight lined. But yeah, I would tight line very, very well. And then I would go with the liner. I would line the bottom of my eyes like so. Oh my goodness. Oh yes, this is bringing back memories for sure. All right, and then what I do is I go in with the black eyeshadow and I set the bottom liner with it before I smudge it out. Okay, and then when I did that, I would go in with the deep brown again and I will kind of smudge the eyeliner a little bit so it looked a little bit more blended. Sometimes for competition I will keep it like this, or I would do like a liner on top too. So I'm going in with the e.l.f. eyeliner pen. I did the most itty bitty wing liner back then because I was still learning how to do makeup. Can you even see the wing? You can't. Yeah. And then I would go and just line everything. Yeah, so I would line that like so. Okay, so obviously I was not the best at liner back then. Beautiful, right? Yeah, I know. And then lastly for the eyes, I would use a Revlon eyelash curler, but oh my goodness, oh my gosh, I'm just klutz today. I would go and curl my lashes a little bit. I would use this L'Oreal Voluminous mascara. I accidentally got the waterproof one, but there's one that's not waterproof. Do you see the volume? I with no lashes, like literally my Asian lashes could never. And then this one, a little bit. Yeah. I didn't know how to use flossies back then. This was a time where I was not that daring, so I just loaded on the mascara. My goodness. Yeah, seriously, like in person, I was like, oh yeah, these are my lashes. But like even on, oh my gosh. But even on camera, with the way my makeup looks, you can't see them lashes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. But anyways, so that was kind of it. And then the other thing I did for finishing touch besides setting spray was I went with kind of like a berry purple lip, because the one red lipstick I had back then, it was red but it had a little bit of orange in it and I did not like the way it looked on me. Yeah, so I discovered back then that Vampy berry shade lipsticks looked better on me, especially on the matte. So I'm going in with my Bite Beauty Beetroot lipstick. The one I used back then was from Elizabeth Arden. I don't think they have anymore. I think they discontinued it. So I went with the most berry purpley lip color or lipstick I have in my collection. Sorry, my lips are a little dry. It is the end of the night. How is that for a makeup look? Okay, so then lastly, I will go in with the Milani Make It Last Original Setting Spray. Back then, obviously, I was not really good with my hair, so usually one of the other cheer girls will do my hair for me. But on days that we just have to put our hair in a high ponytail, I am able to do that. And of course, back then, my hair was also way longer. It had a lot more volume and everything. My school colors were black and gold. Oh my goodness, this is nostalgia. And then we would put our bow in like so, and we would like clip it in as well so it stands up. But I don't have bobby pins with me right now. We're just gonna make it work. Like so. Boom. My cheer makeup and my hair. So this is the final look of what I used to do back then for my cheer competitions. Thank you so much for joining me today and just sitting down and doing makeup with me and just going down memory lane. And let me know if you like seeing these kinds of videos. And to all the teams that are going to be competing this weekend, I wish you all good luck. Please be safe, be responsible, and have the time of your life, because I know I did back then. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. Share with your friends, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.